Hi guys, today in the simple cooking series we're going to do a quick meal. As my light is fading, so we're going to do this real quick. We're going to cook steak and potatoes. Now, as I'm cooking, I'll tell you my procedure, but let's get going because I'm running out of time. First thing we're going to do is we're going to put a pot on with boiling water. That's where we're going to start. Let's get going. Okay, I'm going to start. I'll set my pot on. Like that. Put my water in. Let that be coming to a boil. Shouldn't take it too terribly long to come to a good boil. Okay, while we're waiting for our water to come up, I'm going to take salt. Now I'm going to measure out a good pinch of salt in my hand. Now, some people are sensitive to salt, but you figure out how much to add. I'm going to take it and go ahead and add it to that boiling water. Not quite boiling yet, but as soon as it does. Now you saw me take a standard water bottle, which is 16 ounces. One of these potato sets takes 2 cups, which is 16 ounces. So one of those bottles and one of these equals a meal. We're going to add a little of this, but we'll see that in just a minute. Right now, I'm waiting for that to come to a boil. Okay, now we're at a good hard rolling boil. As soon as that water comes to a boil, the potatoes is basically done. Move that boiling water out while it's still at a good hard rolling boil. And dump in your potatoes. That quick. Now, give it a quick stir around. And I like to put a big dollop of mayonnaise into it. About 1.5 squirts. And a pretty good palm full, well, not a palm full, but like a teaspoon of black pepper. Give that a stir. And let all that come together. And voila, potatoes is ready. That quick. It'll keep hydrating while we're doing this. I'm going to put the lid on. I'm going to drop my heat back down a pretty good bit and go to the second step. Just put my pan on there. I've got a half a bar of butter. You can use salted butter, unsalted butter, either one. That pan heat up, and in goes that butter. Remember when we did buttery eggs? Kind of like that. Now it's going to foam. That's the water coming out of it, the milk proteins. We're going to make clarified butter. That's a fancy way of saying you're going to heat this butter up until all the water comes out of it and just becomes like oil. Okay, keep going. This is a real quick way to cook, guys. You see how that foam? What I want. When the foam disappears, then we're ready for the steak. Now, keep going. Make sure all that bubbles dissipate down or greatly drop off. You'll smell it kind of like a caramel smell because you're panning the butter. That's whenever you're gonna back down. I call it browning the butter. Back down that heat just a little bit. You don't want to burn it, but you do want to kind of pan it a little bit. Okay, there's get to be a certain smell. Now I'm going to take minced garlic, if my slick hands can open it. There we go. I'm going to take a good heaping teaspoon of minced garlic and put in there. Now we're going to turn that heat down. I'll let that butter and that garlic work together. And now, we have a sirloin steak. Now I'm going to tell you while it's cooking how I treated this steak. Okay, I took my steak and I I liberally salted it. I did that for 24 hours and it left it in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator. After 24 hours I took it out and I added my marinade. I let it marinate 24 hours. Then I froze it in the freezer solid to take to camp with me. Okay? Now I'm here cooking it in butter and garlic. Thyme would be good to add at this point as well. Notice I'm cooking it not on a high flame. I do want to sizzle though. Letting that butter and that garlic marinate it. See? Tip it over and take that and pour it across the top. Keep it smothered in butter and garlic. Now for rare, you want it about 3 minutes aside. Medium rare, about 5 minutes aside. Well done, about 8 to 10 minutes aside, depending on how thick your meat is. See it just dancing in that oil? Now all that water's come out, and see now all that smell of scorch is gone. Now the butter's clarified now. You see just little wisps of steam coming out. And me and my wife like our steak rare, so it ain't gonna be much longer and I'm gonna be done. Now the potatoes I did first. You notice I brought the water to boil, then I put in the potatoes, then I let them sit over here to the side. They're done now. Nice big creamy potatoes ready to go. The steak should be done. Yeah, I'm getting a good rind on it now. Every time you turn it over, rebaste it with the garlic and the oil. Could you do this on a campfire? Absolutely. The preparation is the whole thing about it. By salting it ahead of time, I increase the flavor of the steak. I make the steak more tender. Also, the salt keeps any bacteria from getting on it. After 24 hours, I put the marinade into it. And it's just an off-the-shelf marinade. That gets it a second 24 hours. Now I freeze it and I bring it to camp. I bring it in, it's frozen solid. It'll be fine during the day. So whenever I am ready to cook the steak, remember that salt on it? Bacteria doesn't get a chance to get a hold of it. And I'm going to cook it. Now, if this had been 3 days, this thing ain't been in refrigeration for 24 hours, you are not going to cook it unless you cook it absolutely done, well done. Because you'll destroy any bacteria then. You can't eat rare meat that's been exposed that long. But this is not. This has been right out of the cooler. So therefore, it's ready to go. I wish you could smell this, guys. Lift it up. Put a little bit more butter under it. Turn it one last time. Notice how this old pan is kind of flared. Perfect for doing this job. I'm just going to turn that heat all the way off. That steak's done. Don't be in a hurry. Let it rest. When you cook the meat, the meat reaches an internal temperature and the steam wants to be forced out of it due to hydraulic pressure because it's trying to turn to steam. If you don't immediately cut it, you let it cool just a little bit, that hydraulic pressure drops. If you go to slicing a steak right out of the heat, it's dry because all the steam blows out of it. That's all the moisture. It's already pressurized, ready to leave. See? This way it's not. Now I want this steak to rest in this gravy of butter and garlic. I want it to rest here for at least 5 or 10 minutes. And that will allow the internal temperature to come back down. The steam pressure will not force it out, and you'll have a very tender, juicy steak this way without having to worry so much about it. Now, let me let it rest 10 minutes and I'll bring you back and I'll cut it up and show you what it looks like. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. Now it's time to see how this is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that steak, I'm going to put it on my plate. I can divide it in half between me and the missus. What you think? Now, let's see how it looks inside. I don't want to dull the night, but I ain't gonna dull. Now, if you know me, I actually don't want to cut up the plate because the SK will cut right in the plate. There we go. One little piece of gristle right there. Going through that edge. Perfect. Medium rare. See how the edge all the way around it's got like a different color? That's that salt rind I talked about. This is how to do a steak. Now slap some potatoes on it and we're done. Okay guys, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. That's the easy way to make a steak dinner in camp where you ain't gonna have a grill, you're gonna have to use a skillet or something like that. Again, you take your cut of meat, you salt it, you put it in a Ziploc bag in the fridge and you give it 24 hours. Then you add the marinade to it. After 24 hours, then you freeze it solid. Then you take it to camp to cook it. I took and put my pot on, brought the water to a boil, 1 water bottle, which is 16 ounces. I dumped in 1 package of taters, added some salt, pepper, and a little bit of mayonnaise, stirred it up. Great meal, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did like this, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button before you go. Till next time, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.